Fox News Radio, I'm Rich Johnson. Some new polls begin a new round of vitriol from Donald Trump, who is no longer the frontrunner in the first state to decide the major party's presidential nominees. A new Fox poll gives Ted Cruz a 2-point lead over Trump in Iowa, while the Des Moines Register poll makes that a 10-point lead, which leads to this.
Listen to how Trump characterized Cruz this morning on Fox News Sunday.
You look at the way he's dealt with the Senate, where he goes in there like frankly, like a little bit of a maniac. You're never going to get things done that way.
As for the Democrats, Hillary Clinton continues to dominate in Iowa. She's beating Bernie Sanders by 14 points, according to this new Fox News poll. The Democrats will next debate on Saturday, the Republicans on Tuesday.
Fox's Kristen Fisher in Washington. Another huge storm is battering the west, this one bringing rain to the Northern California coast and snow to the Sierra Nevadas. Winds hitting 50 miles an hour have delayed a lot of flights serving the Bay Area's major airports. Couple of unusual bits of violence this weekend around Los Angeles. L.A. County Sheriff's deputies shot and killed a man who witnesses say was firing shots into the air.
We do not have any evidence that indicates a round was fired at deputies at this time. We do have evidence that the suspect did fire the weapon multiple times prior to the interaction with the deputies.
L.A. County Police Captain Steve Katz, there's video of deputies confronting the suspect, then firing 33 times after he refused to drop his gun. In a separate incident, one person's dead, 3 others wounded after gunfire erupted at a luxury hotel in downtown Los Angeles. It happened early Sunday morning at the Standard. Police are still looking for a suspect. The big wave of anti-immigrant sentiment in France since the Paris attacks did not make it to the ballot box. The far-right National Front Party failed to win control of any one of France's 13 newly drawn regions in voting on Sunday. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
I'm Paul Bodenloss with a look at the roadways. In Oswego, Minkler Road between Country Lane and Illinois 71 is closed because of an earlier crash with injuries as they continue to clean up. Also in Warrenville, Deal Road at Winfield Road, there's been a report of a crash. And on the CTA Blue Line, trains are operating with delays because of switch problems at O'Hare. Some trains may terminate at Rosemont. On the Eisenhower heading outbound, it slows down between North Avenue and York Road. That was an earlier crash. Post office to Manheim is 16 minutes. To Thorndale takes about 30 minutes. Finally, on the Blackhawks game, they are taking on the Vancouver Canucks. You can expect some heavy traffic around the stadium. After the game, CTA is operating the number 19 bus, number 20, and number 50 buses also stop at the stadium. Tonight, 56 and rainy. Tomorrow, 56 and rainy. Currently, 59 degrees. Next update in 15 minutes on AM560 The Answer.
If you're looking for a better shooting experience, imagine shooting virtually all your firearms the same day. You can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, or compete in a 3-gun match. You can exercise that rifle out to 600 yards, even engage in a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. Do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Whether you're a novice looking for a basic course or an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, even if you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, such as IDPA or cowboy action shooting. Spend an enjoyable day with the family at the Aurora Sportsman's Club, the only shooting facility in the region that offers all of that and more. If that sounds interesting, don't miss the next orientation and a tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois. Call the membership department at 815-264-9000 extension 44 for information. That's 815-264-9000 extension 44 to join a one-of-a-kind shooting facility. The Aurora Sportsman's Club.
I was coming out of the hardware store when I saw him. An old man, late 70s, hunched over in the freezing rain, no hat on his head, limping across that slippery parking lot and pushing a row of shopping carts toward the cart corral. It's heartbreaking. Millions of hardworking Americans simply don't have enough money to retire, so they just keep working and working and working until it's too late. Hi, I'm Chad Stubbs, President and CEO of Power Trader, and I believe that's just plain wrong. That's why I'm now distributing to the public absolutely free copies of Power Trader's game-changing book on how regular folks can make the money they need to retire fast. For your free copy, call 1-800-400-3088. Don't let the lack of money rob you of your retirement. Call now for details and get your free copy of this book before it's too late. 1-800-400-3088. But hurry while supplies last. 1-800-400-3088. 1-800-400-3088.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
I have 2 words for you. Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues. Here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David and Gretchen's guests here in the studio will be Eric Wilson, president of iCell Health Incorporated. They'll be discussing the Affordable Care Act. Can and should it be repealed? All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So be sure to give us a call at 312-642-5600 or go to Facebook, like our page, On Target Radio, and ask a question there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
In politics, the name of the game is posturing. For the political animal, being successful is not enough. One's opponent must also fail. It's all about doing one's level best to make an opponent look like a fool and be held accountable for poor decision-making as close to re-election time as possible. Oddly, it isn't all that important that your side wins the vote. What's important is you force your opponent to vote in such a manner that it will come back and haunt them during their re-election bid. Such was the recent attempt by Republicans to pass fast-track legislation dismantling Obamacare. It would have also stripped federal funding from Planned Parenthood, prompted by the sale of fetal body parts, as well as a host of other bill-eviscerating things. The House passed its version of the bill along party lines in October and now needs to pass a version compatible with the Senate's version. The thing is, it's a foregone conclusion that the president will veto it. But the real point is twofold. First, we elected the Republicans in the midterms to repeal Obamacare, among other things. This shows they tried to do what we sent them to Washington to do, and at the same time vilified Obama and the left more than ever. Second, it gets those votes on record. And brothers and sisters, you can bet your last taxable dollar that come election time, the world will know exactly who voted in favor of killing babies and selling body parts. It's all in the game. But the game notwithstanding, there are more than enough reasons to axe the Unaffordable Care Act. And let's be specific. Obamacare is a federal law requiring John Q to purchase insurance he doesn't want or need, and for about 1/3 of the population can't afford, from a for-profit corporation with failure to comply penalties levied by the IRS, including the potential for prison time as a motivator. What could go wrong with that paradigm? Liberals loved it. Conservatives hacked up a furball in committee meetings, but to no avail. Undaunted by such silly facts as, it's unconstitutional, not to mention un-American, the legislation was pressed into existence by liberals who, ironically, didn't have time to read the bill before enacting it. First and foremost, the Affordable Care Act isn't. It's simply not. For about the last 50 years, per capita amount spent on healthcare has steadily increased as baby boomers age. The problem is it's been increasing at about 2 times the rate of per capita income growth, which means John Q steadily has less and less income to spend on the family vacation, Christmas presents, and, food. At some point, those lines are going to cross, and it's adios, ACA. Another issue is a lack of motivation for John Q to participate. Yeah, there are fines for lack of participation, but government estimates say in 2016, about 90% of the uninsured will be exempt. Can someone explain to me the point of a mandate if 90% of the uninsured are going to end up exempt anyway? So what's happening is people wait until they get sick. Then they take the insurance because it can't be denied to them, and they pay the same premium as everyone else. Then they drop the insurance once they recover. So we'll have a situation where the elderly and those with serious diseases are jumping aboard while the young and healthy aren't. The result will be an ever-increasing demand for service and a diminishing source of funds to support it. Eventually, the house of cards will collapse. In the short term, Obamacare is simply a disaster for almost everyone. However, in the long term, if left intact and unchanged, Obamacare will fail, giving an X in the win column for conservatives and an X and the lose column for liberals, which, after all, with the upcoming election, is the name of the game. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
Yeah, I was very happy that the Republicans finally passed a plan to defund Planned Parenthood, and the Democrats are going to be on record.
How many times have we said on this show that we elected these people to go to Washington, and for all intents and purposes, Harry Reid is still in charge of the Senate? There's been, up to recently, there's been nothing.
Has little stomach to have a vote on something that he's not going to win. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. You're listening to On-Target Radio. This is AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Our guest this evening is Eric Wilson, president of iCell Health, Inc., a Chicago area-based health insurance agency. Eric has been serving clients throughout the country since 2004. He specializes in individual health, group health, and Medicare, and planning a tax-free retirement. He's also an expert on Wonder of Wonders, the Affordable Care Act. Eric,
you would have to
thank you for coming in.
Good to be here, guys.
I guess we talked in the pre-show about a number of things we definitely wanted to cover, but one of them is, can Obamacare is it possible to have it repealed? And if it is possible, is that what we want to do?
Well, sure, it's possible. I mean, it's always been tough once you start giving entitlements to take them away. But if you look back to 1989, when Reagan was in office, they signed a Medicare Catastrophic Coverage Act for seniors. It was a revision to Medicare. And 17 months later, they realized it was a disaster, and Reagan repealed the law that he signed into law. So yes, it's possible. Do they want to do it? I mean, the law's bad. I mean, we were promised you could keep our doctor. We can't keep our doctor. We were promised we could keep our health plan. We can't keep our health plan. We were promised premiums would drop by $2,500 a year, and they're up at least $2,500 a year. So, yes, it can be repealed, and there's reasons to repeal it, not just precedents from the Reagan administration, but the law passed on false pretenses.
I have said for years, we're too wealthy of a country for someone who really does need health care to not be able to get it. The problem is there are certain aspects of healthcare that have been a problem in this country. If you had a pre-existing condition, you paid hell trying to get coverage for it. So those things work, but they passed this bill, this blanket bill that basically screws everybody. Can we pare it back to the point where people who really do need help can get it, and leave the rest of us alone?
Oh, sure. I mean, well, prior to the ACA, most states had, a risk pool. In Illinois, we had the Illinois Comprehensive Health Insurance Program, which it was expensive, but probably less expensive than we're paying now that everybody's in that big risk pool. So if we had taken some of these billions of dollars that we put into Obamacare and just put them in the risk pools, put it back the way it was, that's a good idea. Many states had some form of a risk pool. There were some states were guaranteed issue. The state of Ohio, which we'll talk about maybe more later in the show, but they had an ideal plan, and I don't know if Governor Kasich actually knows what is in that state because he hasn't mentioned it yet in all the debates. He's been quite silent on healthcare. But what they in Ohio, they had an open enrollment every year, and it was basically for the sick people. And then annually, everyone else could be underwritten throughout the year. If you were denied coverage during the year, sorry, you had to wait till the next open enrollment period for coverage. But if you were denied, you go in that risk pool. In Illinois with the iChip program, all you had to do was be denied coverage, and you could get on the risk program. So there's various ways we can fix this program. We just have to study what other states have done. We don't have to look at other countries. We have to look to other states.
What about the Republicans' idea for ACA? The Republicans said one big fix would be to allow purchasing across state lines.
That's an option, sure. I mean, it's a little different now, with ACA stuff, the way the laws are. But before the ACA, there were some states like Colorado. It was mandated that every plan covered maternity. So I'm a guy; I don't necessarily need maternity. So if I live in Colorado, I can go across state lines, pay less. In Wyoming or Ohio or any other place, didn't have that mandate. I think post ACA we'll probably all have similar mandates to that thing. A simple idea would be, forget all the mandates and just have every company has to offer these benefits. You have to offer every benefit. But as a consumer, I choose which ones I want. I don't want maternity. I don't want mental health. I want
a menu.
Give me the buffet.
Yeah.
Or the a la carte, and I'll pick and choose what I want, and that solves everything. And then you have the companies, every company offering everything. And if I want maternity, I take it. If I don't want it, I don't. If I need mental health, and if you ask my wife, she'll probably tell you I do need mental health, but clinically I don't. But so there's various ways to do it.
Okay, we're going to have to take a break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about legal problems that we're having with Obamacare. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more on Target Radio. And you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Taking a look at the roads in Oswego. Good news, Minkler reopened between Country Lane and Illinois 71. That's from a much earlier injury crash happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon. On CTA's Blue Line, some trains operating with delays after earlier track switching problems at O'Hare and a crash in Northfield at Willow and Wagner. Blackhawks game is out, so you're seeing delays on the Ike. Outbound side slows Independence to Austin. It's 20 to Manheim, 33 out to Thorndale. Inbound side of Pocket Racine to the Burns Circle. It's 30 from Thorndale and 17 from Manheim. Elsewhere, in spite of the slick roads from the rain, you're looking good on the Edens and Kennedy. No delays. Stevenson, Ryan, I-57 or the Ford. Lakeshore Drive moving at posted speeds and light volume on the tollways and through Indiana. Again, light rain and 60 right now in Chicago. Showers continuing overnight, a low of 52. Tomorrow, early scattered showers and otherwise a high of 53. Next update in 15 minutes on AM560 The Answer.
I think America is dying.
The Joe Walsh Show.
Everybody came here to be free. Everybody came here to strike it out on their own. Everybody wanted government to stay out of their hair. Everybody wanted to be free. Not today. We have way too many people in America who no longer want that America.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM560. The Answer.
For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has supported the rights and freedoms of Illinois citizens to keep and bear arms. For over 100 years, the ISRA has supported the use of firearms as a sport for personal protection and as a fundamental aspect of national defense. For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has been supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? ISRA.org or 815-635-3198. The Illinois State Rifle Association, supporting you.
Kitchen need a makeover? Tired of your outdated bathroom? Did a big box store raise more questions than answers? The answer is Stone City. 2 million square feet of marble and granite countertops in 50 colors starting at $26 a square. The latest appliances, cabinetry, faucets, and fixtures. Stone City designers transform your dream into reality. Stone City, 3053 West Grand in Chicago, or call 773-533-9806. That's 773-533-9806. Stone City, it's your home, only better.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Our son Joe had one dream: to go to college and become an architect. It was going to be expensive, so he needed our help with the tuition. Unfortunately, my husband died last year, and so did our son's dream. If only we had gotten life insurance like we talked about.
You want to take care of your family, and we want to help. Hi, I'm Brent Langdon for AIG Direct. We partnered with American General Life to find you their most affordable rates on term life insurance products. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-940-5549. Help protect your family's dreams now. It only takes 5 minutes, and you could save up to 70%. And the call is absolutely free. 1-800-940-5549. That's 1-800-940-5549.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560, The Answer, with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues to your life.
Radio, give us a call, 312-642-8255. AM560. Our guest this evening is Eric Wilson. We're talking about the Affordable Care Act. The interesting thing about this is it has been riddled since day one with all kinds of problems. My personal favorite problem is the website, which I think is just classic Obama. You could have, how much did they spend on that thing?
I don't remember.
Millions. Just millions of dollars. You could have hired a 12-year-old for $100 and given him a bag of Cheetos, and it would have been done in 1/10. Well, done. It's still not done. They're still having trouble. So this whole thing has all kinds of problems. It's had legal problems. What are some of the highlights? It's probably not the best choice. What are some of the more outstanding problems with this thing?
Well, first of all, it's been to the Supreme Court twice, and in my opinion, Justice Roberts has illegally rewritten the law because first it was said it was a penalty. He said no, well, if it's a tax, it should have started in the House of Representatives, not the Senate. So you can blow the whole thing up on that pretense right there. Then it goes back when the law was written. It said, you could only get subsidies in state-based exchanges, but most states were deferring to the federal government. And Justice Roberts comes back and says, well, when they said the states, they meant the country. So I mean, there's challenges there. We keep rewriting the law. We change the deadlines. I mean, there's all kinds of legal stuff here that's gone crazy.
He made changes which he can't do. It was a law passed by Congress. He's making changes on the roll. Just as stuff comes up, he goes, well, we'll exempt these guys, we'll exempt those guys. First of all,
he kept changing deadlines. He kept pushing back deadline. Oh, no, we don't have to do that yet.
Yeah. I mean, why does nobody call him on this stuff?
We have a little bit of a spineless Congress right now. I mean, I think everybody's afraid of this president. Like I've never seen any other president. They would, they'd be fighting him. He probably would have been impeached.
If this were a Republican, he'd be in jail.
Oh yeah,
literally.
Right.
But this whole thing is it's dicey, and people are afraid of it. They literally are. And the people who went on it have discovered it isn't the good deal that they were told that it was going to be. My own doctor has said, I may just retire. I just may retire early. It's not worth what we're going through.
A lot of doctors are getting out of the profession right now. And a lot of people, he said you can keep your doctor. Well, some of them are not on the plan that they can afford to get.
Right.
And some of them just aren't practicing medicine anymore.
And it's had many unintended consequences, not the least of which, because of the mandate for employers have said, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of my employees.
Right.
It's easier to get rid of my employees than to do with this.
Right. They keep it short. You see a lot of people going to 49, 48 employees to keep it under the smaller group number. That's been very common. You see people reduce hours.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I'm a person trying to make a living, let's take the insurance side out of it, but I can only work 25 hours a week at this place. So, because they're trying to cut benefits. So I have to get a job working someplace else, 25 other hours. And, the off hours.
And then you still don't have insurance.
You still don't have insurance, right?
Right. I mean, I work 3 jobs and 3 part-time jobs. And there aren't as many full-time jobs being created because of Obamacare.
Right.
Who can afford it?
Right.
A small businessman. What was the number of employees? I forget. 50?
50.
Yeah. So I don't have 50 employees, thank heavens. But, when you're at that number, that's a small business, really. Right. And the amount of money that it costs to put somebody into this program, it's detrimental to the economy.
Well, that's a place too where I think that the law went wrong, because I've always kind of believed, why is it your company's job to insure you? Putting employer mandates in there. I mean, my company doesn't pay for my auto insurance. They don't pay for my home insurance. Why is health insurance a mandate? It was a nice perk. Remember, it started after World War II when they put the wage freeze. It became a perk. Well, we can't pay you more, so we'll give you health insurance. And then suddenly, and it was always a nice perk, but that's all it was. It was a perk. Instead of more money, we're going to give you benefits. Nice. And now it's a law that my company has to insure me. And I don't understand why it should ever be a company's responsibility. Nice gesture, sure.
You're right. And I mean, the whole thing fundamentally is unconstitutional. It's the federal government telling citizens that they have to purchase something from, in and of itself, it just is disgusting.
Right.
It really does. You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM560 The Answer. We're talking about Obamacare. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. If you've had experience with Obamacare, let's hear from you. Our guest this evening is Eric Wilson. And as I said, we're talking about the Affordable Care Act. Are there other there's been legal challenges to it, right?
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, there's been two. We've had the 2 months of the Supreme Court. We got the Hobby Lobby case about the
religious exemption.
religious exemptions. That's there. It's going back to the Supreme Court. Someone's finally realized that the whole thing not starting in the House of Representatives is unconstitutional. So it's going to make it back to the Supreme Court again for a third time, and who knows what happens. So there's the legal side, then there's the moral side with the religious thing with the even the nuns. I can't remember what
sure
saying. Well, where they're saying, okay, well, you